Dealing with client feedback. Now, this is a topic that I find very important when running any kind of service-based business, whether it's offline or online. And I run an animation studio. It's a service-based business. We have clients, and obviously, when we do work, we receive feedback in order to, complete that work. We revise it, and finally, the client is very happy. A lot of the headaches that come from running a service-based business are related to feedback. And it's such an important issue and it's so prevalent in all service-based business that I thought it would be important to make a video just to talk about this topic and what I've learned from it, and maybe help you to deal with coming up with a system to be able to handle feedback in the most efficient way, because this is crucial. So I came up with some maxims. I call them the universal feedback maxims, and then I'm gonna talk about giving feedback and receiving feedback. Both things are very important, and they're gonna happen continuously your entire life. Even if you're a freelancer, or every time you do a job, you're gonna get feedback. It's very important to understand how feedback works and how to handle it. So, anyways, let's get into it. In my opinion, there is not such a thing as good or bad feedback. Feedback is just an opinion, either by an individual or a consensus, or by consensus of a group. So, sometimes when you're dealing with a larger organization, or it could be not just one individual giving you feedback, but it could be a team that gets together and is like, okay, let's look at the work these guys have done. What can we tell them? What feedback can we give them? So it's just an opinion. You may have a different opinion. So there's a connotation that sometimes if there's bad feedback or good feedback. You could say that there's just one type of feedback. It's just an opinion, and then there's constructive feedback. What really can be bad or good is not just the feedback itself, the facts or the opinions. It's how it's given. That's what's going to cause the main issues, especially because feedback is going to touch egos. It could trigger negative emotions. Let's put it this way. So being able to give feedback and receive feedback as well, it's crucial. We're going to talk about that in the next two videos. Feedback, it's a great tool. It's actually the number one tool to reach perfection in work. If you're just working for yourself, you still have to be very critical about your own work. But it really helps when you have other people looking at your work and giving you their opinion in the form of feedback. So if I look up to this very famous entrepreneur. His name is Elon Musk. He was the founder of PayPal and now the founder of Tesla Motors, and SpaceX. And in all his interviews, they ask him, what is the number one thing you would recommend people to be able to be as successful as you, or in life in general? And he's like, always seek negative feedback. He could also say constructive feedback, but what he says is that positive feedback is motivating and reinforcing, but it doesn't help you to get better at anything. If you tell me how good I am, I'm like, great, thank you very much. But what I really need to know is where I'm not so good at, or what have I done wrong, and obviously not just say you've done it wrong, but provide some arguments to say why do you think this is wrong, because this is the only way and the best way and the fastest way for me to get better. So when time is such a big issue, like in the case of Elon Musk, where he's got humongous deadlines, a lot of responsibilities, billion-dollar budgets, he's sending rockets to space. He doesn't have time to oh yeah, so I'm great, I'm very successful, and our rockets are great, and our cars are awesome. The only way they get this awesome this fast is because he's continuously, on purpose, seeking, in his own words, negative feedback. So he has to put his ego on to the side, aside of the equation, and just receive and seek out this negative feedback in order to improve his products as fast as possible. Obviously, The same way he's looking for negative feedback, I'm sure he doesn't have any issue giving negative feedback as soon as possible. And finally, feedback should never be taken personally. This is obviously easier said than done. But the moment you take it personally and you start mixing emotions with facts, it can get really messy. So it's important to really listen and put yourself in a more neutral place and try to analyze things from a big picture and say, okay, well, does this person have a real argument or reason for them to say this? And not because I have a different opinion. It's like, okay, they're hiring me. They think this is the best way. It seems that it's being, anyways, you're thinking more logically than emotionally. That's very important. And these 4 points are what I call the universal feedback maxims. They're just my own opinion. They're not taken from any book or anywhere. They're just taken from my own experience. Next, we're going to talk about the art of giving and receiving feedback, because these are also things you're going to run into a lot if you run a service-based business like myself. Hey, did you enjoy this video? If you want to see more like this, just subscribe here. If you want a free gift, click here. Yeah. Which one is going to be the one you click?